How do you deal with the lonely bit of moving out? How did I tell my parents? I basically couldn't afford to live in that neighborhood. What do you love the most about living alone? You're supposed to leave your parents' house when you're married. How much did it cost you to move out? It's probably a scam. Do your parents still give you money? Top level cringe. Is it best to use an agent or Facebook Marketplace?
Pretty young girl from Zambia, you know that she ain't with the drama. Light skinned girl Osama, you know she the bomb, she cause trauma.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Hi, my name is Nyamba and I create YouTube content which you should subscribe to. Okay, so welcome to a new video. This is the long-awaited moving out Q&A. I asked you guys to ask me questions on my Instagram and on the YouTube community tab like 2 whole months ago, and this is when I'm getting the chance to sit down and answer them. So I hope you like it. Don't forget to thumbs this up, share it with somebody, and of course subscribe. Enjoy! Okay, so in no particular order, but in some order, we're gonna get started. I know you guys were very curious about the parental aspect of everything. I will get to it because I feel like it's a lot of explaining. So let's just start from somewhere. Was moving out what you expected it to be like? I want to say yes and no. Yes, in that I knew I would have my, pink Barbie dream house or whatever, but no, in that I don't know, I was expecting more from it. I don't know in what aspect, but yeah, I feel like I was expecting more. It left more to be desired, but it was also what I expected it to be, so it's very 50-50. Do you ever feel guilty for leaving your parents' house and just have the urge to go back? Absolutely not. Guilty? No. No. The urge to go back? No. In the beginning, a little. Well, actually, no, not in the beginning. Oh, actually, maybe in the beginning / middle of me living alone. Now it's been pretty much a year. But yeah, in the first, let's say 2 quarters of me living alone, I didn't have the urge to go back, but those thoughts would come up. But I just didn't give in to them, But guilty, absolutely not. I love this for me. What things should we look out for when dealing with agents? And it ties into the next question, which is it best to use an agent or Facebook Marketplace when finding housing in Lusaka? First of all, you guys, house hunting is the pit. If you saw my apartment hunting video, if you haven't, go check it out. It's just, I think I viewed over 10 houses before I actually found a house, which is crazy, okay? And what you should look out for, okay, let me answer the second part first. Is it best to use an agent or Facebook Marketplace? There's no best anything, honestly. It's just however you find a house, find a house. Some people find amazing houses on Facebook, others get scammed, so it's just a 50-50. And then what things should you look out for when dealing with agents? A lot. Ciao. A lot. I was reading this question out to my boyfriend just now, and he's like, I should answer that for them because he's been house hunting for a while now, and it's just so stressful. But I would say the main things are, if a house seems good, guys, I can't speak English. If a house price seems too good to be true for the area that it's in, it's probably a scam. I once saw this house on Facebook Marketplace being advertised, before I moved in, but I had paid already. It was on Facebook Marketplace. It wasn't even too good to be true, honestly. I think they had posted it for something like 4,000 a month, which is decent and reasonable for a house like mine or an apartment like mine. So it was believable, but still, you just have to be so careful. But yeah, I would say if you find a house that's I don't know, 3-5 in Woodlands close to Pinnacle Mall, it's a scam. They just want your money. Another thing I would look out for is agents who don't pick up the phone. If you try to call them 1 time, 2 times in the space of 10-15 minutes and they don't pick up the phone, don't even waste your time. Move on. And the third thing. I don't know. Something I saw on Facebook recently was actually people checking, I don't know if it's like Truecaller or checking like mobile money or something. Sometimes agents will have like their number and then the landlord's number. But if you check on Airtel Money or Truecaller or whatever, you find that the landlord's number and the agent is the same person. So yeah, just be diligent with these things. Like be smarter than them because they already have like a one up on us because they know we're desperate to find housing. So try to be smarter than them. Like I said, the main thing is if it looks too good to be true, it probably is, and do not fall for it. How much did it cost you to move out? I would say upwards of 30K, which is 30,000 kwacha. And that seems like a lot, but honestly, it's not. If you want to move out comfortably, child, it's not at all. That money goes like this, okay? Like you will be shocked. So I made sure I saved up for the 3 months of rent. So that's 2 months plus security deposit, which is what almost everywhere requires you to pay. Like before you even move in, you've already paid 3 months worth of rent. So that's a huge chunk of money depending on your rent, obviously. But if you're looking at maybe rent of like 3,500 to 6,000 kwacha, do the math for how much you would have to pay for that 3 months. So that's a minimum of what? Let's do the math. That's a minimum of at least 10,500 kwacha just for rent. And then if you want to move out comfortably, like I said, for me, my level of comfortability was having a couch, a bed, a fridge. I actually budgeted for a stove, but I ended up not needing to buy a stove because my place has an inbuilt stove. So that was good. But yeah, those were like the basics: a couch, a bed, and a fridge. So in order to get those, it also depends on the couch you want, the fridge you want, especially. I bought a more pricey fridge for someone starting out, but you don't have to buy a fridge that costs that much. There's fridges for 3, 4, 5 bin, it's a fridge and it works. The point of a fridge is to cool your food. Okay. So yeah, you just work within your budget, and comfortability, like I just said, is different for everyone. For me, that was my idea of comfortability. I also made sure I had enough money to do like a wholesale haul when I just moved in. So my initial grocery shop cost me like 4,000 kwacha or something like that. But that stuff lasted, you see. But if you don't mind not having some things right away, that is totally fine. Sleeping on a mattress is totally fine. Using plastic chairs is totally fine. That sort of thing. And yeah, I just slowly started buying additional things. Like if you see my early vlogs of my living alone diaries, I didn't even have a coffee table, and that came months after I'd moved in. So you just build slowly, and it depends on your budget at the end of the day. So the next question is kind of like the one before. How did you prepare for it financially? And I saved for a long while. So every time I would get paid, I had a moving out savings pot where I would put in a bunch of my money in order to save up to move out. What do you wish you knew before moving out? Probably how quick money goes. Like, I did not realize how fast money goes when you live alone. Basically, when you have a lot of bills to pay, not even a lot, when you just have bills to pay, money goes so quick. And I feel like I wasn't fully prepared for that. It's like I was prepared, but not fully prepared for that. But yeah, I mean, it's not like I can change anything about it, but money does move pretty fast, and you should just kind of be aware of that beforehand. What do you miss about living with family? Probably just like the banter. There's always just like a joke being thrown or like something to laugh about with someone, that sort of thing. There's usually almost always help. There's always someone to go places with you, like, oh, I'm going to the shops, you want to come? That sort of thing. I think that's what I miss. And also having a helper. I can always have a helper, but I don't trust people like that. So at home, the workers that are there are like trusted workers who've been there for like 20 years. So you just always have them and there's always help. But me here, I'm really just on my own. What do you love the most about living alone? Oh my gosh, there's so much. I think overall, I just really like the peace. The peace is unmatched. Oh my goodness. There's no one wearing out your name, talking about, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah. Like, to be fair, even at home, it wasn't really like that. But there's times where it's just like, will y'all stop calling my name? Jeez. There's no one to judge you if you wake up at 1 p.m. If you don't feel like making a proper dinner, you can just have girl dinner. Like, there's so much to love about it. But yeah, overall, I think I like the peace. When did you decide to move out of your parents' house? I knew that I wanted to move out years ago. I think this was when I was still in uni, maybe second year of uni. Actually, no. I feel like I want to say all my life, but like not all my life. No, yeah, I think it was second year of uni where I was like, actually, I feel like when I'm done with uni, I want to live alone, that sort of thing. And then third year happened. That was during the pandemic, and I spent my entire third year of university at home. So I finished my third year of uni remotely. And during that time, that was like the longest I had stayed home for like 2 to 3 years or something like that. And I was over it. I liked it, and I knew I wanted to be like back home in Zambia, but not home at my parents' house. And that's when I really started romanticizing the idea of living on my own. If you watch I think it was a KFC mukbang video I did in like 2021, I think I spoke about wanting to move out in that video, if I'm not mistaken. That was my plan from 2021. I feel like that's when I cemented the idea in my head, like, I want to live alone. I think it's time, that sort of thing. And then I ended up going back to the UK for a whole year. And then I came back and I decided that I wanted to move out by January 2023. And then I think I kind of just stalled in starting to house hunt. I was like, do I really want to do this? Like, do I really, really want to do this? And then the new year came, 2023, and I was like, okay, by my birthday, which is April, I should move out because I was turning 25. And yeah, that's kind of how that all happened. How did you plan and budget on saving for paying for your initial month/home needs? Yeah, that's kind of what I spoke about earlier. Every time I would get a paycheck, I would save a bunch of it, at least 10% of it, but usually it was more than 10% of it, and I would put it into my moving out savings. Oh, I also did my research on how much things cost. Things like furniture and stuff, you can look them up on Facebook Marketplace to gauge how much they would cost. I had my couch made, my bed made, so that's obviously cheaper than walking into a shop and buying them. So you can start to gauge how much things cost, so you know kind of what you're dealing with. Even with fridges and whatnot, check used, check new, check the type of fridge you want and how much it costs. So then that gives you a rough idea as to what you're dealing with. Also with rent, start looking at rent prices before you ever even start looking for a house, just so you know what you're dealing with in terms of figures. Aren't you scared of sleeping alone in a house? Because I cannot. I saw another one that was like, is it not scary living alone? Honestly, no. As a female, I feel like my guard is always up. I'm just never fully 100% comfortable in any setting besides the home that I grew up in. And with that means I'm always just vigilant of my surroundings. So where I live, there's obviously workers and there's guards and stuff, but they're all males. So it's a bit like, yes, I know I'm safe, but like, am I really safe? Because y'all are men and like, men are scary. Anyways, but overall, it's not scary. Sometimes if it gets a bit like, when you hear like a sound. There's this one time I posted on my Finsta, I heard a sound from the kitchen and I went in there with my tripod and people are like, okay, what's the tripod gonna do? I don't know. I can hit someone with it or something. Anyways, at the end of the day, God's got me. Like, I am protected by the blood of Jesus, okay? Do you miss not paying house bills? Yes. Yes, I do. And that is one thing I miss about living at my parents' house, which is not paying bills. But then again, while I was there, I really wanted to move out. So something's gotta give. Now I pay bills, but I feel like I'm in a much better place mentally. So I'm not complaining. How do you deal with the lonely bit of moving out? I don't know if I'm the right person to answer this because I feel like I'm fine being by myself a lot of the time because even before I moved out, I was almost always in my room. And I feel like I just like being by myself, to the point where it's almost scary how much I like being by myself. But I do really like it. It's low key hard for me to feel lonely. But with that said, it doesn't mean I've never ever felt lonely while I lived here, which I definitely have. And in those times, I'll probably call my sister or call somebody, and then I'm fine. Oh, and sometimes when I'm just like bored, I'll just get up and go home, like to my parents' house, because there I know even if they're not home, my dogs are at home. I just feel like the air is different. I just get something different and it cures my boredom or whatever. And then I come back later and I'm totally fine. I know this looks easy to most people, but for real, should I buy a cooker first or a washing machine? I read this question out to my boyfriend before I started filming, and for real, we were like, that is a good question. Like, that is actually a valid question. But guys, I don't know. I want to say it depends on how much you cook. I feel like I would get a cooker first. I don't know, because I moved into here with a cooker and I don't have a washing machine. And that's the one thing I actually wish this place had, like a provision for a washing machine, because I would have gotten myself a washing machine ages ago. Because right now, as we speak, my laundry is so much because the washing machine at my parents' house broke, and it's my fault that it hasn't been fixed yet. But anyways, I don't know. I feel like for practicality's sake, a cooker, because even if you have a washing machine, it's not like you're doing laundry every day, you know what I mean? So I feel like a cooker. And if you have a place that support, like there's a provision for a washing machine, I feel like you can always get that later on, but a cooker first. Yes. All this just depends. You know what? It depends. But I would say for myself, if I had to choose, it would be a cooker first and then a washing machine later. How can you afford rent? I work, baby. I work. How long after uni did you move out? Like 2 years, I want to say. Yeah, because I finished school in 2021 and then I moved out in 2023. Do you eat in shima? Yes, I do. Once in a while though, because I only cook it when I'm really craving it. I cannot be bothered to cook it outside of that. So me craving it is like once every 2 or so months. But then I always have shima like when I go to my parents' house, so I don't really miss it like that. But by myself, literally I'd say 2 to 3 months. What difficulties are you facing while staying alone? I don't think there are any, for real. Maybe just dealing with an annoying landlord. That's about it, honestly. Do your parents still give you money? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. If you watched my birthday vlog, you would see that my dad literally said that that account closed last year. And obviously, they'll give me money for like, it was my birthday recently. They gave me money for that. There'll be times where my mom's just like, oh, here's some money or whatever. But do they like actively still give me money to the point of me waiting on their donations in order to pay bills and live and do whatever? No. I fund my lifestyle. I fund pretty much everything. When you get married, where are you going to take the things that you bought for your house? I will either sell them or move with them. That's why like a lot of what I was getting, I feel like I can take to my marital home, especially like my fridge. I was like, I don't want to just buy a little nothing fridge just for use now. Like, no, this fridge is coming with me to my marital home, period. My microwave is coming with me. A lot is coming with me, but I'm gonna sell whatever I don't need anymore. What unexpected expenses did you encounter, if any? Honestly, none. I don't think there was anything because I budgeted for like every last thing and had wiggle room as well. That's why when I tell people 30K, they're like, oh my gosh, but I'm like, bro, better you have some change than be short of money, okay? How did you handle the emotional aspects of leaving your family home? I just cried till I was fine, to be honest. Do you prefer your new neighborhood neighborhood to the one you lived in before? Please explain why. The straight up answer is no. The neighborhood where my parents' house is like the most perfect neighborhood to me. It's so central. There's everything you need. It's just, I love it. I love it so much. And if I could live there, I would. If I could afford to find a house there and live in it, I would. It's just rent prices there are so expensive. I basically couldn't afford to live in that neighborhood on my own. So that's why I ended up moving out of it. But I love my old neighborhood so much. This one is just okay. Is it the worst? No, absolutely not. But it's just not better than where my parents' house is. And finally, I think we can discuss the elephant in the room, which was dealing with the parental unit. How did I tell my parents? How did my parents take it? Yada yada. How do you deal with the parent aspect of things? Okay, so let's start with how I told my parents that I was moving out. So, first of all, to me, it's like I wasn't giving them room to say yes or no. Like I had made my decision, and whether they liked it or not, I was gonna move out. Is that a good thing? Probably not. Is it stubborn of me? Probably yes. I feel like I know what African parents are like and how they have the power, or they're always in a position to hold you back from actually living the life that you know you deserve to live, or the life that you should be living. And with that, it's like I've seen people who are like late 20s, early 30s, even older, still let their parents dictate their lives. And for me, it's like I've never wanted to be in that position where I let my parents dictate my life. And all that to say, like, I know they're my parents, they love me, they want what's best for me. But one thing that Jackie Aina once said that I've never forgotten is that a lesson she learned in her 20s is that parents know a lot, but they don't know everything, period. It's like, you don't know how I'm feeling about still being here. You don't fully understand the reasons why I want to move out. I'm not trying to move out because, oh, I want freedom, blah, blah, blah. I had freedom at my parents' house. I had freedom. But it was just, I'm the one who knew how I felt truly and deeply, you know? And the people around me who weren't my parents, because parents are hard-headed. They just refuse to understand certain things. And it's not entirely their fault because that's how they were brought up as well, you know, that sort of thing. So yeah, I wasn't giving them an option to say no. My initial plan was I was just gonna have a moving truck come and then be like, oh, I found a house, I'm leaving. But the joke is, I had been talking about moving out for the longest time. Literally since 2021, I've been talking about moving out. And I remember in 2021, I had my little, you know, rebellious phase or whatever, where I'd leave and come back whenever I want and blah, blah, blah. And one thing that my mom said to me is, if you want to be doing your own thing, move into your own house. And I said, I bet. Obviously, it was just me being me at the time, but I always knew that it's like my house, my rules, you know, that sort of thing. There's certain things that you can get away with in your parents' house and certain things that you can get away with living alone. So yeah, I had made my decision. Like I wanted to move out and no one could talk me out of it. So I had been talking about it the time my mom came to visit me in the UK. This was in 2022. We had gone to IKEA and I was buying stuff for my house, but I think she thought I was either joking or just not that serious about it. Like she didn't think I was that serious about it. So now fast forward to 2023 when it came to actually starting to house hunt and whatnot. If you guys watched my moving series once again, then you know that this house took forever to be like ready for me to move in. So I ended up telling my auntie first. I was like, hey, I need to talk to you about something. And then, yeah, whatever, I got on the phone and told her, yeah, I'm planning on moving out, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, why do you want to move out? I'm like, oh, it's time. I wanted to for the longest time. These are the plans I have, blah, blah, blah. Then she's like, and what are you going to do with work? Like, is your contract being extended? Da, 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 all this stuff. Like, we spoke about like the whole thing. And then I told her my plan of just having a moving truck show up. And then she's like, no, I think you should sit them down because kukavefya kulanda landa or whatever. And I'm thinking kukavefya kulanda landa regardless of if I sit them down or I just leave. So you know? Anyways, so she says, no, sit them down and tell them that you found a house and this and that. And she's like, you've already paid, so it's not like we can say, no, go get your money back or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, and I was never gonna get my money back anyways, so I guess. So at that time, I thought I was going to be moving out in 2 weeks' time, but then that ended up not happening. So, anyways, that same day, I was just like, you know what? Let me just get it out of the way. Guys, my heart was beating out of my chest. Like, bro. Anyways, so I sat them down. I think I texted in the group chat. I was like, hey guys, if you're free, like, can we meet in the TV room? I want to talk about something. We meet in the TV room, and I was just like, this is so awkward. You guys, it was so awkward. Like, me trying to even put myself back in that room. Oh my gosh, I just wanted the whole ground to swallow me. So yeah, I just told them, I was like, oh, I found a place. I will be moving out. My mom just got up and left. She's like, you're wasting my time. My dad was like, where is this? I told him. He's like, okay, like, you've made your decision. We've tried to advise you, but you don't want to hear it. So I guess there's nothing we can do. And I was like, I guess. So yeah, that was the end of that. And then I ended up not moving. So for months, they were probably just like, why is she still here? Because it's one of those things, one of those topics where it's like, I know y'all don't want to hear it, and I'm not going to talk about it. So it is what it is. Like, I wasn't even updating them on how the house delayed and whatever. It was just very, if you know, you know, which was my siblings knew, my boyfriend knew what was going on, my coworkers knew what was going on. It's just my parents who didn't know what was going on, because it's like, well, y'all don't care like that. So anyways, fast forward to when I finally got the keys months later. I just collected the keys and I took a picture and sent it to them. I'll put it up on the screen. I was like, guess who has their own bathroom? They literally ignored it. And then a few days later, I started moving my stuff, and then they were like, oh, like, damn, she's actually moving, you know? After that, I think I took a couple days. I think I started moving stuff in on, I came to clean on one day. The next day, I think I was still cleaning slash shopping, I think, something like that. And then day 3 or 4 of having the keys is when I fully like moved majority of my stuff, and I think even slept here or something. So the night I was leaving home, we had another sit down, which was just like, keep in mind, from the day I posted that photo in the group chat to the day I left, it was just like the most awkward time of my life. Oh my goodness, it was so cringe. It was so cringe. But I had to keep reminding myself, like, bro, I made this decision and I feel at peace about it. Not even I've made this decision, like, I've prayed about this decision for the longest time. I had been praying that I find a house I like and whatnot, because like the house hunting struggle also got so stressful. I would be praying about it and whatnot, and I was like, the peace I feel isn't just a peace from my inner thoughts, it's God ordained. You know, I felt like it was time, like God put his stamp of approval on it. And maybe that was me being delusional, but I really felt it. I'm like, I'm not making a mistake. Like, I'm not making a mistake, you know, that sort of thing. So anyways, on the final day when I was leaving the house, like officially leaving the house, we had another sit down, and it was just like, yeah, it was just a parental sit down. It was, be safe, you know, once again, you made your decision. The only thing we can do is pray for you and pray that you're safe. We have no choice but to give you our blessing and just hope you be safe and all this stuff. So it was so awkward, you guys. I can't even front. Like, I can't even pretend it wasn't awkward, because it was so freaking awkward. It was like, this is a weird. I felt like it was weirder than me saying I want to get married. And I think that's like top level cringe. This was definitely cringy. I feel like now when it comes time to get married, it won't even be that cringe, because I feel like I got through the cringiest part of my life, like my adulthood, honestly. Anyways, so that was that. And that's how they took my decision to move out. The thing is, it wasn't easy for them, and it wasn't easy for me either, because they made me feel like, okay, not just them, but like society and culture makes you feel like you're making the worst decision of your entire life to move out, especially as a female child. What are you doing? You're supposed to leave your parents' house when you're married, or when you're getting married, whatever. And it's like, no, not me though. actually not me. You know, I feel like I've always just been like the black sheep, the wallflower. Starting from the course I decided to study at uni, it was very unconventional for an African child coming from Africa. It was just like, I feel like I've never just conformed to what things are, especially when it comes to tradition. It's like, okay, that's what the blueprint says, whoever made this blueprint, but I know myself. I know I'm not going to get out of here and get pregnant right away. Like, if I wanted to have a child, I would have had a child already, you know, that sort of thing. And it's like, I know I'm doing this for the right reasons. I have the right intentions. So I literally had to keep reminding myself, like, no, you made this decision because you know what you're doing. Anyways, so yeah, it was hard for them. It was hard for me because I kept feeling like maybe I made a mistake, but I'm like, no, I haven't made a mistake, you know, that sort of thing. So it was very weird, but we're all good now. We're all good. My parents have come to my house. My mom can just stop by and be like, oh, I have food or whatever, you know, that sort of thing. It's very chilled now. That awkwardness is way in the past. We've all moved on. We're all fine. We're all cordial. Whenever Kay is around, I go sleep over at my parents' house. Like, it's very chilled now. So yeah, there was a question that was like, what was your parents' first and final reaction when you told them you wanted to move out? So first reaction was just, I want to say anger. Anger, but not anger to like yell or whatever. Maybe it was disappointment. I don't know. Maybe it was disappointment. I've never asked them like, oh, what were your emotions during that time? If they watch this, they can answer, but I want to ask them in like a few years' time. Like when I'm married or something, you know? Like, oh, what really were you feeling in that moment? But I would say first was disappointment. Final is just like, it's normal now. It's literally so normal. My dad even tells people like, oh yeah, she lives alone, you know, that sort of thing. Like, it's not weird anymore. How did you get through the parents' issue? It was weird, it was awkward, but there's always some resistance when it comes to change. And if you're willing to go through that hard, rough, awkward, resistant, sluggish, all the negative things patch, then you will be fine. So yeah, it's not easy, but you can get through it. And at the end of the day, it's like, it's a transition for all of you. It's a transition for you. Like I just said, it's not like it was the easiest for me. And yeah, it's not like I wasn't, and scared isn't the word. I wasn't scared, but you know, I feel like as a female, you're just never comfortable. You're always thinking like, oh, what if something happens, blah, 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 like all this stuff. Like I made sure what was in control was in control. Like I have a camera in my house, you know, stuff like that. I tried to make sure it was in what I thought was a secure enough neighborhood, you know, that sort of thing. Like you take as many precautions as possible, and at the back of your head is always, oh, my safety, my safety, my safety. So with them as well, as much as you may have tiffs or whatever, like they're your parents, they love you, they want you to be safe, they want to hold you like an egg for as long as possible. And when you come out of the nest, they will freak out. They will freak out, which is natural. Change is weird to everyone. Change isn't nice. It doesn't feel nice when you're going through it. But at the end of the day, you end up coming out of it either positively or negatively, whichever. But I like to say it's been pretty positive. Like now they know that I'm good on my own. You know, I can take care of myself. I'm fine. I go visit them every so often, like every weekend. Sometimes even just during the week, I'll go chill over there. I see them all the time. It's not like now that I moved out, I don't even go home. I'm just like, I've gone ghost on them, you know, that sort of thing. No, we still have a good, even better actually relationship. Like I have a much better relationship with my parents now that I don't live under their roof. Let's answer one more. I think there was one more. How did you manage to find your place? Did you find it online or check places face to face? I found my place on Instagram. Actually, this is the final one now. Is it a must to have a moving truck? I would say no. It depends on what you're moving. The stuff I was moving from my parents' house, it wasn't big things per se. So majority of the stuff that I moved from my parents' house, I moved in my car. But I did get a moving truck on one day to move or to transport my fridge and a mattress, I believe, and a few other like suitcases since there was just space. And that truck I got from Yango, literally. Like Yango delivery, you can order a truck. And yeah, that is it. I have spoken for literally almost an hour now. I am parched. I need some water. But thank you guys so much for participating in this. I hope I answered your questions. And yeah, if you have any more specific questions, you can always DM me or leave them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to thumbs us up, share it with somebody, and of course, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.